Hi, I'm Sue and I'm the head librarian of the Winters Bellbrook Library. Today's program is called Stretching Your Grocery Dollar. If you've registered online, you should receive a recipe packet that goes along with this video, or you can come into the library and we'd be happy to print off a copy for you. So I grew up in a large family in New England, and one thing my mom did very well was stretch her grocery dollar. She would cook big pots of things on Sunday and then stretch it out throughout the week with the leftovers. So today I'm going to show you how to do the same thing on a smaller scale for your own home. Lately I've noticed, and I'm sure you have too, that the prices of groceries have gone up quite dramatically. Even today I went to the grocery store and there were shortages of some of the things that I normally get. And what I could get, some of the prices were double what I normally pay. So that got me thinking about my mom and how she used to cook back in the day. So I thought I would show you how. Today I'm going to show you 3 recipes. A New England boiled dinner, and then we're going to use the leftovers from that to make a split pea soup and a quiche. So first of all, a New England boiled dinner, if you don't know, is made usually with ham, but it can be made with chicken or corned beef. But today we'll be working with ham, and it's just everything boiled in a large pot. At the end of the cooking time, what you're left in the pot is some really valuable broth. So we'll be using that broth plus some of the leftover ham to make that split pea soup I mentioned, and also a little bit of the ham for the quiche. So let's get started. Here are the ingredients we're going to use for this first recipe. You'll notice here that most of these ingredients are very easy to find at your local grocery store. The biggest cost associated with this meal is the pork shoulder. Here it's called cottage butt, but you might find it as Cincinnati butt, Boston butt, or Daisy ham. It's a fattier piece of meat. What you see here will feed 3 to 4 people for this recipe. Keep in mind also, you won't be using all of the carrots, all of the celery, all of the spinach, or all of the cabbage in this recipe. So you will have extra. So I just finished my prep work. It was rather easy. I put the meat in a pot and covered it about 2/3 with water. In this instance, it's about 8 cups. We'll be using this broth later in our soup, so having 8 cups of broth would be great. The pork is already cooked. It's a smoked pork shoulder, so you won't need to cook it terribly long, but you are trying to get that broth to be flavorful. The vegetables I chopped quite roughly. After cleaning the potatoes, I just cut them in half. The skin on will be great because it's extra nutrients. You don't want to use a russet potato in this recipe because they fall apart. The onions were small, so I used 2, and again, chopping them roughly. For the celery, it was a rather large stalk, so I only needed 1. And as for carrots, for a 69-cent bag, I still didn't even use the whole bag, but I do love carrots in this recipe, so I made extra for us. So I added the onions and celery to the pot. Now I'll turn this on over medium heat and let it boil for at least an hour, up to 2 hours. So the ham has been at a good rolling boil for about an hour and a half now. It's about 45 minutes before I want to eat, so I threw in the potatoes and carrots. I also cut up my cabbage that I would like to add. This is about 1/3 of a head, and I'll put this in about 15 minutes to go. If you decide to use spinach, which is also excellent in this meal, I wouldn't add it until about 5 minutes before you are ready to serve the meal. Once you're done, you're just going to be taking everything out of the pot with a slotted spoon, cutting that ham, and serve. Well, that was really delicious. All right, well, this is how much stock we're left with when all is said and done. I would say my best guess is about 4 cups. So now we're going to make some split pea soup. I took all the split peas out of the package and I did a little quality control, looking for any stems or anything that doesn't belong in there. I'm going to add this to the pot, the bay leaf that you see there, about 2.5 cups of water, and I'm also sweating my onions. So I took another onion and some garlic, and I'm just running it around, giving it a light saute. The flavors come out better when you do this to your onions before you put it in the pot. So what we'll do is we'll put it all in the pot here and let it boil for another hour to an hour and a half. You'll notice the peas breaking up and getting thick. Add more water if you need it, and I'll see you again in a bit. Okay, so here we are about an hour and a half later. I just stirred occasionally to make sure that the bits were starting to break up, and you'll know it's done. It'll feel thicker, it'll look thicker. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add back about a cup and a half, or maybe half of the ham that was left over from the first meal. And I'll put that in here. And then to serve, you would just add a little heavy cream if you'd like, and some cracked pepper. And that's it. Now I'm ready to make quiche. These are the ingredients you'll use. You'll see that the ham that we have left over is just enough, 3/4 cup. I tried to remove as much fat as I could. Also, this is green onion that I've chopped up. Normally when I buy a bunch of green onion, I get frustrated that there's so much left over. So what I have started to do, and here's a little tip for you, is I put it in a little baggie in about a 1/4 cup measure. I've noticed that a lot of my recipes are asking for a 1/4 cup of green onion or a 1/2 cup. Now, if I pop this in the freezer, I have it for another day. So when I cut up my bunch of green onion today, it made about 3 additional packs that I can throw in the freezer. So now let's make our quiche. I've prepared the pastry shell as directed, and I've added my ingredients to the hot pastry shell. Now I'm going to make sure that the cheese and meat is evenly distributed around the pie, and I'm going to turn down the oven from 450 to 325 and check on it in about 40 minutes. And that's it. Just set your quiche on the counter for 10 minutes before serving. Now, this is my idea of a quiche, but of course you can change what cheese you use, what meat or vegetables, or no meat at all. It's completely up to you. Sort of a choose your own adventure quiche. In fact, all of our recipes today are completely customizable. Once you get the recipe packet, you'll see the different options for chicken, for example. Thanks again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to pick up your recipe packet at the Winters Bellbrook Library, or just register for the program and we'll send it in an email. Have a good day.